The climax of the first coming, listen to this statement. The climax of the first coming was the death on the cross. That's the climax. But everything else that was happening, it's part of the first coming. The climax of the second coming is the body change, the rapture. But everything that's happening right now is the second coming. And God has put gatekeepers that people come with their denominational filters and preach to us a Jesus that is coming. Until we ask ourselves, how is he going to come? How are we going to know that he has come? Because there's a blockage in the system. Another great gatekeeper, which sounds simple, is the Godhead. I believe you cannot rightly preach this message without a revelation of the Godhead. Now I'll show you now. You see, Brother Branham comes and he says, Jesus Christ is not one like my finger. That's a profound statement already. And then he says, he's 100% man. And he's 100% God. Are you hearing that? And then he comes and says, the boy was not God. This is not part of my notes. I'm just highlighting some. He says, the boy was not God. In other words, there is a time where the fullness of the Godhead dwelt in him bodily. But there was a time he did not. Is that right? To fulfill Malachi 3 that says, suddenly shall the Lord enter into his temple. In other words, the body is the temple that God created. It is a sinless body that God has created as a sacrifice. But the body is not God. That's why it's under the altar of sacrifice in the 6th dimension. As we speak right now. Is that right? Why the body cannot be God is because God cannot die. Can you say amen? If you make the body God, then you make the word a lie. Because God cannot die. And Brother Branham says he died more a death in Gethsemane than what he did on the cross. In other words, in Gethsemane, that's when God and the flesh separated. Listen to this. So when he left Gethsemane, that's why those soldiers could command him anyhow. Because the God part had left. And to show you that when he went on the cross, he cried out, he said, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. Meaning to say, my father, why hast thou forsaken? When did he forsake him? In Gethsemane. So that he can go as a man to die for the sins of the world. Can you say amen? That's the Godhead. That's the Godhead. And Paul meets him a few months later on his way to Damascus. He's no longer wearing the body of flesh. He sees him in his original state without a mask. Can you say amen? And he says, who are you, Lord? He says, I am Jesus. He says, but I knew Jesus as a man. No. He's no longer that. He's back to his original form. Can you say amen? That's why you need a prophet in this day that can go back into the mind of God and take these things and preach them to us so that we don't believe a Jesus of the denominations. Our Jesus is different from their Jesus. Can you say amen? He says, I must decrease. He must increase. In whose ministry? In the same ministry. There's a time it was Brother Branham, there was a time it was not. This is what message believers don't want. You want to become the word. And you don't want to believe Brother Branham became the word. You cannot become what you despise. Ish. Did you hear that? You can't become what you despise. If you are always looking at married people and speaking ugly about them, you will not be married. Let's remove the denominational filter.